Welcome back to another episode of the Downsizing Roadmap podcast with your hosts, Jody Roscoe and Heather Fisher. We're talking about all things downsizing, from our own experiences with clients to guest experts. Let's make downsizing easier, one conversation at a time. Hi, welcome back to the Downsizing Roadmap podcast. Have you ever paid attention to how much stuff you have on your phone or your computer? When I send pictures to people and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how many emails you have, or how many voicemails I have or photos I have, I just have so many. And that's a whole nother kind of clutter that we need to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Heather Fisher.
And I'm Jody Roscoe.
And man, my numbers can get so high so fast on the notifications and the photos.
And the emails just keep coming and all of that.
Yes. So I'm excited to talk about this today and hopefully inspire not only everyone listening, but myself as well.
Yeah, I think we need to listen to this. I know for sure I need to listen to it on loop.
Yes.
Because I am so guilty of just kind of putting it out of my mind, but I know it's there and it needs to be dealt with. It's just, so it's not out of my mind. It is still heavy. But I just kind of don't pay attention to it as I should. I don't have a system. I mean, to be honest, I don't have a system for it. And so when you don't have a system in anything in your life, it just starts to kind of spiral.
Yeah, and it becomes a mountain that seems just as overwhelming as a mountain of things in front
Physical
of you.
Paper.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think I'm the type of person that has a ton of physical clutter in most places, but the digital clutter can be just as weighing. So
well, and I think that I went through a time when I was like, oh, we'll just digitize everything, right? Yeah. And then we can get rid of the physical clutter, which is true on some level, but then if you do it all or you never go back and look at it, just like a filing cabinet that you might have somewhere in your house where you've, been very purposeful about filing things but never looked at it again, then it's the same. It just turns into the same thing. It's just you don't see the pile of paper, but it is still a big kind of mess behind the scenes.
Yeah, it definitely comes down to a system, which I love.
I know.
I'm a systems person.
You're so good at it.
It's hard to keep it going and find that system that works so that you revisit it frequently enough, because with digital clutter, it is out of sight, out of mind, and suddenly you haven't cleaned off the desktop of your computer in,
right.
months.
You just end up, the way that is all of a sudden you have no storage.
And what do? I just add more subscription or storage to my subscription.
Which is the same as buying a storage unit for your stuff. I mean, really, we don't think about it like that. But if you were like, hey, if you had too much stuff, would you go get a storage unit? And some people do, putting off those, decisions. Mm-hmm. But I know you would say, no, I'm not doing that. No, we're going to get rid of it. But
I think it's very unfair that the warning pops up right when you want to take the next perfect photo.
Right.
So
I just have to buy it and I'll deal with it later, but then we don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So unfair.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about all kind of digital clutter, which is still clutter, even though they're kind of invisible piles. And all of that physical clutter and invisible clutter do still create hidden stress. The digital fatigue, it still overwhelms you, just in a different way.
Yeah. So what counts as digital clutter? There's different categories. It could be your email inbox, your digital photos. That's a huge one. Personally, and I think for most people, your desktop or your downloads folder. Oh man, the downloads folder, that's a bad one.
Yeah.
Your cloud storage or external drives. If you have gone for that extra storage because you have too much, then those just become problems of their own.
Yeah.
Your phone apps and the notes app on your phone, anywhere you're grabbing just like Post-it notes, but digitally to put things. And then your social media, your saved posts and messages, those can all add up. And without some care and thought put to it, it really does become difficult to even revisit the things that you saved, even
how
if
many
you want
times
to.
have you gone through and like tried to find a photo of something and you're like scrolling and you're like, I know it's in here somewhere, and you can sort your photos a little bit by things, but like, you have so many and you end up having, ones of, you take, okay, so back in the day when we say, okay, regular photos, you just kind of can throw away a bunch of them because they're bad. Well, we did the same thing. Like, there's still ones that are bad. We just take them until they're good, but then we never delete the ones that were bad.
Right.
So now my number on my phone is 47,283 photos.
I'm a little better than yours, but still 20,171 photos on my phone.
Think about how many that would be if we had printed those out. Like, that is a ridiculous number of things. And when because this is how old we are, when flip phones were, a thing, and the new phones came and they had a camera, Mark was like, that is so dumb. Like, what would you use your camera for, like, on your phone? Well, because the pictures weren't very good back then, and it was just kind of like whatever. But now, like, I take pictures of everything to remind myself of something, or as notes, like screenshot. There's so much that's just actually literally a snapshot in time that I only need for a little bit of time, and then I could go back and delete it, but I don't. So there's tons of them in there, either duplicates or tons of just pictures of things that I'm trying to remember for a minute.
And then you can't remember where they are. I think that I wish I could easily know the percentage of what, how many of that 20,000 are photos of my family, not even down to good or bad or duplicates, but how many are family and friends versus just the screenshots of anything, work-related things, recipes,
something
reminders.
I need to buy at the store. This is the price of this thing.
My husband and I text back and forth, like, no, get this, get that, and I just do not go back and delete that.
Memes, all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
Yep.
I wish the phone would separate some of that out better. But it's probably my fault, not the phone's fault.
I'm sure there's some program for it we need to look into a little bit more that we need to do.
I'm passing the buck.
It's totally not me. I'm not the problem.
I think that very similar to physical clutter, we end up with the same feelings and emotions around it. We avoid tackling it because there's emotional weight, but I would argue that emotional weight is only on a small percentage of it. And so we really need to start with easy and start getting through the screenshots, the memes, the junk mail, all of that, and then move on to the same steps we take when filtering down the sentimental items. It's the same as physical photos, but we're all fooling ourselves that 40,000 or 20,000 photos have meaning that we can't delete.
Yeah, I think, we always talk about the 80-20 rule, right? And so I think 80-20 is probably, giving you more than you need. Like, I don't even think 20% of my 47,000 photos are things that are even sentimental, honestly. Like, by the time you get doing the duplicates and all of that.
A long time ago, when my youngest, my older two kids were in the age when I still printed photos, and my youngest kind of missed that and transitioned over to all of my photos of her were on my digital camera. So I didn't print them as often. And she kind of got about 7-8 years old and said, wait, where's my albums and all of that? And I took a long time and printed a lot of photos. And so when we say 20,000, I know at that time I printed 600 photos, and it was 2 albums full, and it covered everything we needed. Right. Up for the first, 10 years of her life at that time. And so to multiply that.
Well, think about, even if you go get professional photography done.
Yeah.
The photographer is going to take a couple hundred photos to get the right ones, but you might end up with 5 or 10. Great photos of you and the family, little, different scenes or whatever. And so that's maybe 10%. 5% of the ones that they snap, just trying to get that perfect, picture, face, or whatever. And so, yeah. And if you needed to make, so even, it's close to 10,000 pictures if I even just 80/20 my pictures, right? And those are just the ones that happened since I could take them on my phone. So those are not even, those are not even like all the pictures of my kids when they were even younger and my life. So that's still a ridiculous number. And so when you are editing photos, either digital photos or paper photos, just if you're like thinking, I'm going to make a picture book of somebody's life, if you had 100 pictures of their life in a book, that's enough.
Yeah. I think that some ways to deal with that, one thing I was thinking about, that the phone, well, I have an iPhone, so my phone makes the memory, like videos out of the photos. I was like, I just need to save those and then delete the hundreds of photos from different vacations or things. I feel like that's the way we're going to revisit them, is to watch them in those videos, slideshows, versus a physical book.
Well, and I think the difference is we aren't curating anything. It's just, it's so much that you can't really enjoy, or, you'll have 10 pictures of the same thing and they were taken really fast, so somebody's eyes open, somebody's eyes not. And so if you just, you don't even know which one to look at. You're like, oh wait, which one? And it takes, you're trying to, and just deleting and deleting and deleting those is a better idea, is to do that as you go along.
Yes.
Once we deal with it all. Yeah. As you go along, whatever picture wasn't good, delete, and some of you might do that already and be like, what is she talking about? But that is not not the way. Style. That is not the habit that I have created. So I have some habit work to do on this whole process. So
yeah, I think that beyond the photos, some of these other categories, the same thing happens. It's a lack of a habit around cleaning it up. For me, the email inbox, I have work email and a personal email address and an old personal email address. It stacks up, and gosh, the 80/20 rule is not enough there. It could be the 99%, 1% rule on my personal email box.
Oh yeah, I delete almost everything out of my personal email box. But it's still overwhelming because it just keeps coming and keeps coming. And so I would file it, and then now I don't even, my inbox is just as ugly as my pictures. Like it just goes down and down, and then eventually Mark has to archive it. And then it's in some big, it's just ridiculous.
Yes. This stat we have here says that the average person receives 121 emails per day. I would say, for me, I do in just my personal emails, from everything I've ever bought online. I'm now on those stores' email lists.
I try to not to get off of them, but they just, it just seems like, I don't know if they sell my name and I get something different. I don't know. I've not had a good way to get off of a lot of them.
Yeah, I think if that's something you're struggling with, what I'm going to try, again, preparing for this episode, I was thinking, what do I need to do? Not what should I teach, because I struggle with these digital ones. But I think what I'm going to try in my email box is just set up some rules so that, every company I'm getting emails from, just set up a rule to send it straight to trash and not have it be in my inbox. Unsubscribing does not seem to work, and it just multiplies, and then I'm getting from 10 more companies. So I think maybe that's what I'm going to try. I did set up some rules for some time, and that did help me, but now it's overrun again. I have to go look at the rules and see, who I need to add. But that was helpful, setting up the rules and just saying, if this comes from this sender, send it right to trash. Yeah, or just a
bucket. Like some of it, because what'll happen in my inbox is it's usually something I feel like I want to do, and if it's something that I want to read, informationally, that sometimes happens and sometimes doesn't. And so I could set up a rule, read this stuff, and then when you have time, it goes there. And if not, you can go clean out that read folder
Yeah.
once a month or something.
Well, yeah, and I think even more important is setting a time block in your life of when you're going to read from that folder. Not necessarily but a recurring, every Friday morning I spend an hour reading through
Right.
this folder, whatever. And so you can read it and let it go. Just kind of a tech cleanup once a week, but actually reading the things, you saved it for a reason. And I find so much I do not go back and seek out once that moment passes.
Totally. Because it's such an information overload. So it just keeps coming and it keeps coming and it keeps coming and it just buries itself. And I do think that the fear of deleting something important, or that fear of I might need it later, that one that you have with your physical stuff, what if I need this later? I think that is the top one in this realm, because it feels easy to save it. It's I don't need to delete it. What if I need it? And so you just kind of keep it all. But if you don't have it in a way that you can access it the way that you need to, then you're definitely not going to go back and look at it.
Yeah.
There'll be sometimes there are things that I am looking for and I don't know how I named the file, or I know it's in there somewhere. So, making sure that your system for how you've named your files when you're talking about data files is also super important, because those are big digital filing cabinets, not pictures. Now I'm talking about data and work data, a lot of that, and you just sometimes can't even find what you were looking for.
Not in that moment.
Yeah.
I definitely strive to be a zero inbox person, and I do think that helps if you can move the other stuff to different subfolders, but it seems unattainable sometimes in my life.
Yes. I'm so far from that.
Yes. So let's talk about some steps that can help you build momentum, just to tackle this. And got my pen ready to take some notes and make sure. But I think that this first tip that we wrote down is great, to just pick a category, not a device, which goes back to the same thing we say for downsizing across the board. Don't just say, I should start downsizing,
my
or
whole house.
I should work on downsizing today. Be very specific. I'm going to clean out my, Gmail, email inbox, and do that till it's done. I'm going to
do a month of pictures.
Yes, do a month of pictures. I'm going to do the screenshots folder of pictures. Be very specific, because you're giving yourself that task and the completion metric, which is always the way that we can mentally feel that reward and be motivated to take the next chunk, because you've completed it, you had that sense of accomplishment, and then you do the next thing. So start small, start easy. Is it the desktop of your laptop cluttered with things? Is it your photos on your phone? Is it
apps? Do you have apps that you don't use anymore on your phone? I was looking at my apps, and I still have some from when the kids were little, and their little games that they would play. Although there was one Ryan loves, and it's just you can't get it anymore. And I was showing him my phone, and I was like, I'm deleting this stuff. He's like, don't delete that one. It's some dirt bike, this silly little game. And I'm he's like, you can't get it anymore. And I'm I don't even know how it still works on my phone then.
Yeah.
But it does. So anyway, I left that one for him. But yeah, there's tons of that you end up with apps on your phone that you used to use and you don't anymore. You can always go back and get them again. So that's not something, well, I guess not the dirt bike one, but the rest of them,
yes,
you can go back and get them again. So it's not even a loss on that, if you delete them.
At least some sense of organization around them.
Yeah.
So you can truly, put things together and see what you have too much of.
Yeah.
All of the same tips around physical downsizing of your items definitely can be put into play with just a little twist. So setting a timer and that 10-minute habit a day or 20 minutes, or an hour once a week where you're just intentionally sitting down and your goal is to work your way to getting on top of your digital clutter can really add up if you do it consistently.
Yeah, and you can, create a save with intention folder. So for digital stuff, keepsakes, texts, photos, voice messages that you're not ready to delete, you can move them to a folder that's like your maybe box, right? If we're going to, look at it versus our physical stuff. I have voicemails from my mom that I don't want to listen to yet, but I don't want to delete them. So this would be a perfect place to get them out of my voicemail bin, but like to, clean that, have that feel like, oh, there's not voicemails I need to listen to. But,
I think when you do that with intention, it's curating down to those things, because there are photos in my 20,000 that I treasure more than others, but I couldn't find them easily. Yeah. So it's kind of making that this is the folder, this is the place I want to visit when I'm feeling sentimental, when I want to think about the people that are in here, when I'm feeling nostalgic. And that would be much more enjoyable than like, oh, screenshot, paint color, this, that. Oh, there's a photo. Oh, like when you're just browsing through your photos on your phone, it's like just a big box of everything shuffled together. Yeah. It would be much more enjoyable to have it in one place where you could flip through it like an intentional album.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And start with the easy wins. I think this is a category there's so many easy wins. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, this one's a good one to like get some momentum rolling, because there are tons of pictures that are duplicates or pictures that are blurry or, junk stuff that's in there. You took a screenshot of something when you were somewhere, wanting to buy something or remember something by taking a picture of it. Those are easy stuff to get rid of.
Yeah. I think learning your habits as you're deleting, figuring out where you're doing the most of that, and maybe changing your habits a little bit can help. Is it things you're taking photos of at a store to remember, or is it recipes? What habit can you stack on top of that to clean those up right away? Do you have a place to keep recipes? Do you?
Which you do.
I do.
What is it?
The Paprika app, the best $9.99 I have spent in my life. Gosh, how many years have I been telling you about this app? And it's fantastic because not a spokesperson, but it's amazing. You can find a recipe online, and instead of having to read through the article and jump to the recipe and get past the ads, you do that once, and you either on your phone or your computer, you just send the URL of the recipe to the app, and it strips all of that off, and you have an ingredient list and the directions and a grocery list that you can add the ingredients to, and you can organize it. And I live and die by that for the kitchen.
And I think what's the key to that is that you can sort by. So if you're like, I want chicken, or I have chicken and I need to use it up, or whatever that looks like, then you can, because I think, when you have all those shots of your recipes or whatever, there's no sorting by it or looking at what ingredients are there, and you're just kind of scrolling again through your 47,000 pictures, trying to figure out, where did I put that? I know that there was some recipe for something.
Yeah. So. And that's a category I have high intentions of trying all these amazing recipes, and then I make, the same 20 things on rotation. So, I was intentional, in that app or wherever you're doing that. I do have it separated by recipes to try versus ones that I've already tried, we're keeping, we're using, or whatever. And so I can look like, oh, let's do something new. I can browse those, but then I know which ones we actually tried and liked, and do that. So I am winning in the recipe app.
Yeah. You are.
Not so much all the other digital places, but
hey,
that one's a win.
We're starting with one.
Yes.
It's fine.
Yes.
Mindfulness practices, I think for me, that's habits that we need to create. Like I need to have a little system, like that's a system. Maybe I need to look at some other systems for what other places there are things to do. And then create yourself a little weekly tidy up your tech habit, right? Like on whatever day, Saturday mornings, drink your coffee, clean up whatever that is, your inbox, your, old folders, pick something back to the beginning, pick a category and start working on it, but create that habit to do that. Clean out your download folders like every Friday or work folders by Friday at the end of the day. That stuff's done. A zero inbox is great. But if you at least just have some peace around what that looks like and there's a few things in there that you're still working on or need to respond to or whatever, that still should be good. Some people you're like, no, nothing in my inbox. Absolutely nothing in my inbox. I hear you. I would make your head explode, but it's okay.
I'm at 20 emails or less in my inbox, and I'm completely happy and comfortable. I know what they are and all of that. When it starts going past the scrolling, then I'm stressed.
Yeah. Yep. So, we talked about how much of it is going to be super, super easy, but there is some of it that's going to be emotional, right? And so, honor some of that before you delete it or figure out what you're going to do with those things. Is that, we're not trying to create more clutter, but is it something that might need to be printed out and, framed a picture or, somehow put into a book that you then can, keep or how are you going to honor some of that?
I think too, if you get to that point and you have a very curated collection of what does need honored and saved, tech can be, tricky and you can lose things with the push of the wrong button. So once you've taken those steps to get it down to just the most important things, that's the time to create a backup on a thumb drive or, in a way like that, you can feel peace of mind knowing you have it backed up, you know where it is, but you're not taking just your daily digital clutter and paying for storage for it and saving it. So
now that you've curated those photos, maybe they go to, a book.
Snapfish book.
Yes, like a book that gets created, or maybe they go to a digital photo frame, or maybe you stream them on your TV, when the TV is not on and you just turn your TV into a photo frame that just, rotates through different pictures. But, keeping them there's so many pictures I just haven't even seen in so long when I started to look through them because, they're on the computer. You don't look at them versus a book or, whatever. Yeah,
I love those digital photo frames, both at my in-laws and at my parents' house. It is that, oh my gosh, I forgot. I might have been the one to send the photo, but I forget about it. Yeah. And then you're over there, and you see it go by and you're like, oh, that's so cool. I forgot that. Or, it starts conversation when we're all over like, oh, look at that from whatever trip or whatever. So I think those are a great way to keep the amount of physical things down because it's just the one photo frame, but really curate an enjoyable
because I feel
experience.
Like the same, if you were looking at this like they were physical things, these would be photos packed in boxes in storage that nobody's ever seen. Yeah. And so what use is that? Yeah. Right? Get down to just the ones that are amazing and figure out how to display them and see them.
Yeah. And tell the stories around them as people are over. I think, gosh, it's so scary is not the right word, but it's hard to think about how many in the next generations, how many people will, pass on and their phone just never is gone through. and all of the photos, we have these tools in our hand to take such amazing photos right then, and they're not blurry like they used to be, and the color is great, and they don't have, our thumbs in them, hopefully, and and all of that, but they'll just be lost.
They do, but then those are the ones that need to be deleted.
Right, right away, so you take another one.
Right. Yes, but I do think that
there'll be a lot lost, and so I do think pulling them out into those digital frames is a way for everybody to see those.
Yeah. So in your head, think of this all. If you switched it to physical, what would you be doing with it? And I think that makes it easier. I would say almost 100% of files that are saved on your computer that are more than 7 years old probably can go away. Honestly, I would say it's probably 99% of it. It's just either work you've done a long time and now you've morphed that into something else, or stuff that you needed to save even for taxes or whatever, but it's been that time frame.
If you haven't needed it in that time frame, you're not going to. Yeah. Okay, so calling, to action, what are we going to do today? I think the first step is to pick that one type and just tackle it.
Yeah.
I think for me, I'm going to go to photos. Do you have one?
You're going to do photos?
I think so.
Yeah. I would like to do photos too, although my inbox is a big mess. So I think I need 10-minute blocks for, more than one.
Are we setting a challenge for ourselves here?
Yeah, maybe we should set a challenge.
Yeah.
We gave on that.
Yeah, we gave our numbers. So we'll report back in a few months and let you know.
Yeah, I'm at 47,000, friends, 47,283. So
20,000 here. So I think that recurring calendar reminder to delete downloads and clear your phone storage, all of those tips. And once you do it, I think you become much more aware about cluttering it up again.
Yeah.
So hopefully simultaneously you're building some, thought triggers as you take screenshots, as you take random photos that aren't important or sentimental. Like, what am I taking it for and where does it need to move to, versus just living here and floating away into the scroll of photos.
All of it. Yeah. Peter Walsh, who is a great organizer, said you can't organize clutter, you can only get rid of it. So I think that is the thing. Like, we think, we'll just put it into folders and we'll, organize it to death, but it's still there. You can only get rid of it.
Yeah, that's definitely the tricky part with the digital clutter, because it's not taking up a lot of physical space, but the mental weight is definitely weighing on us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. So get yourself into some better habits around that, and see what you can do. Start somewhere small this week, and either that's your inbox or your voicemails or old file folders, digital file folders, or your pictures. There's tons. Your apps. There's just so much that's on our computers and our phones.
Yeah, so if you guys need any additional resources around downsizing, reach out to us through our website, downsizingroadmap.com, and we will be back next week with another valuable episode on downsizing.
And less pictures in our phone.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Talk to you next time.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us on the Downsizing Roadmap podcast. If you found this episode helpful, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who might need a little downsizing inspiration. Have questions or ideas for future episodes? Reach out to us on our website, www.downsizingroadmap.com. Until next time, let's keep simplifying and moving forward.